days. Oh man.
Oh my days.
That
I don't wanna talk about him on this channel if I'm being honest with you.
no,
Like he
but that
started
wasn't even it wasn't even that bad. Like I understand what he was saying. It's like a mentality.
yeah, but
Like no, for real. Like if they all said F this, we're
yeah,
not gonna work the fields,
yeah.
they wouldn't be slaves. They would have been killed, but they would not have been slaves.
Yeah, but then again, they would have been killed.
Yeah, but
Like
they wouldn't have been slaves.
the point to kind of illustrate the point, he wasn't talking directly about that time. He was more of comparing it to now, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense, because
Facts.
it's more voluntary now than what it was back then because we're not getting killed to have the mindset that we have now. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I gather from it. But it's not anyway. We have started streaming, and what a way to enter the to enter the stream.
Out of nowhere, eh?
Believe me, I don't talk about topics like that on here because it's just way too political. I try to keep this channel politically free. So welcome to everyone onto this live stream. If you're here, I'm just gonna wait for a bit more people to join.
Yes,
I'm joined
sir.
today by King Reacts to the World. That's his YouTube channel, but his name is actually King GDB. That's it, right?
King
GDB.
GDB. Yes, sir.
GDB. Yeah, okay, I said it right. I said it right. Yeah, he does his
Yeah.
own reaction channel. It's a great channel. You should go and check it out. The link is actually in the description. But he actually covers a lot more of the social issues of. Do you cover politics as well? If I'm not mistaken, you cover politics.
Politics. Yeah, it depends on the issue at task.
Yeah,
But yes, I would cover everything, like everything I'm interested in. So it would be
yeah.
politics. It would be social issues, social commentary. It would be video games. It would be movies. Anything military, mountain climbing. We do it all. We do it all, baby. We do it all.
Yeah, that's not why I brought you on though. That's that. I didn't bring it to talk about politics. Please, I left it behind. It's
Exhausting.
just not for me. It's just so exhausting. Like it's so I rather because I do talk about social commentary as well, but I rather talk about it on a level that isn't close to politics, but more of showing how how our society is hypocritical. I do
Mm-hmm.
it in that kind of sense, but I don't talk about the like things like feminism or all those things. I don't talk about it. Like if you know what I mean, I don't critique it. I don't care. I just I'm trying to
I just
say.
want to live my life.
What I'm trying to say, but today we are going to talk about "Don't Worry, Darling." Before we get onto that topic, because I'm still waiting for a bit more people to come online. I give it 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. I think in 5 minutes we should probably start.
You know, it's so
But
funny, yeah.
it's to because I do a lot of polls and I do a lot of polls regarding movies, and I do want to ask, do you think um flipping it. Oh man, I just lost a train of my thought. Do have you seen which poll do you think? What poll do you think I should do next? I should ask.
Next,
Let me put it like
in
that.
terms of movies, or in terms of what are you looking for?
Actors, really,
In
because
terms
I
of
am.
action movies? Oh, okay. I think the next poll you should do is to get a general, just a general understanding of who people think was the most like highest grossing actor
Oh,
of that time, just so people can see what
but
people
that's
think.
but that's but that's. I mean, Google though. But
No, I know Google, but if they wanna, if they wanna participate, they can. You know, you want something very subjective, then I'm guessing,
oh, I
because
know. I
obviously
want
that's
something. I actually
subjective.
want something. I actually want something very objective. I want something where people can actually try and separate their own memories and experiences and just
Look at the facts.
look at the actor, which is why hey to Padmati,
Well, you
two
could
massive
say
legends.
who was the most highest grossing, not highest
Okay,
grossing. Sorry, who was the most like
influential. Yeah,
yeah,
okay,
like
maybe
yeah, influential or
culturally.
successful in terms of Oscar wins and or Academy Award wins.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so
Because the academy recognizes their talent, meaning,
oh, okay.
you know what I
I see the
mean?
angle that you're coming from. I see the angle you're coming from now. Yeah. So in terms of accolades and what
Yeah,
they've
the
achieved,
accolades, like who is one of the best actors, and you can look at that from the accolades the people in that era accumulated and who had accumulated the most in that time.
actually, but then again, the people that I've chosen for the polls has been irrespective of that because there are some actors that I've picked that didn't win.
No, 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 100%, 100%, 100%.
But I'm trying to present it as maybe I should. You know what? Maybe I should do it like this. Which actors from this list do you think that the Academy got right in their accolades? You know what
Yes,
I mean?
yes, yes,
Like,
yes.
and then list it and put it like that and see what people say. Like, like
Yeah,
I think that's a good
I think
idea.
that'd be alright. Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good.
Yeah. I actually do have someone on the chat here. Hey, two mad patties. I actually don't know your that's a cool name. I'm guessing you're Irish. I'm guessing you're Irish. But he says, I love Don't Worry Darling. The whole battle behind the scenes between Olivia and Florence made it all more intriguing.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
it made it so juicy, so spicy, so spicy. Hey,
hmm.
it
I
was
don't know, I mean,
it did
actually,
honestly.
let's start from there. Actually, let's actually start from there.
The inception of the movie and all the beef behind the
Yeah,
scenes and the
yeah. Like,
awkward scenes between Harry Styles and your
do you
boy
think
Chris
that it affected
Pine.
their performances, or am I being? I personally think it didn't, but
I feel like well, from what I've heard, I feel
FPK, I
like
know. Okay, I know you now. Sorry. I know who he is now. He's part of my Discord. Oh,
okay.
actually, let me try and share the link on here. Let me try and send you the link on here. That's he says that's his old account. But yeah, continue. Do you think that it affected their performances?
I think it not obviously the performances on screen, but for the actors who stayed, but it probably was a bit of a shocker for the people who came in late, like Harry Styles, because his performance, you can tell that they gave him leeway in the fact that they gave his character a British accent, because
Okay.
obviously allowing him to just be natural, because they didn't want him to spend the time to get his American accent down, because clearly when Shia LaBeouf, whatever his name is, was uh, was given leave, or he took leave because of the discrepancies in him trying to get like rehearsal time with all the individuals, and there not being enough time on Mrs. Pugh's side to come in and do that rehearsal. So he said, you know what, this program doesn't seem serious enough for me to be in it, because
Yeah.
I would like things a certain way. I like to know that we're doing the proper due diligence in terms of doing the work and the work necessary to understand our characters and working with each other, collaborating. And he felt that they didn't do enough of that, so he left the project. So I'm feeling like Harry Styles was done a disservice, or a service at the same time as a disservice, because they kind of gave him a role, made it easier for him, simplified it, because obviously he's British. So they said, we're going to give you a character, a British accent in the simulation. Spoiler alert. But yeah,
Hmm.
I feel
I
like,
think
yeah, his acting, I feel like could have been better given enough time to really digest the role. But, for what it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
yeah. I did personally. I didn't think. I think it did work out well because if you want to look at the authoritative, anything authoritative, you just think of the British. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I mean, think about it. So I do think it worked out a bit well for them because they did add that extra layer into it,
mm-hmm,
where it wasn't just an American thing; it's
mm-hmm.
gone global as well.
Yeah.
And it's like it and him being British, he's kind of brought in that classical feel to it. That of course he will be in this world already, like what I
Mm-hmm.
mean, of course. so so that's the one part. I've only seen it once, and I'm going to watch it again so
Yeah.
that I can do my video essay on it properly because
Mm.
I do have a lot to talk about, especially with Olivia Wilde saying that it was about Jordan Peterson per se. Like, it
That
was
was
made modeled after him. So that's mainly what I wanted. Like, that's I will talk about that. But
it's getting political.
personally, I don't think. Let me just read FPK's comment here. It says, I didn't see it affecting any of the performances. It made me think that Florence was actually jealous because of how close she got with Harry on set. But the film was flawless. They didn't let it affect it. The story and plot really got me with it being a simulation. I
Oh
made a
yes,
point
that was good.
I made a point of not reading about it before I watched it. I did the same thing. I actually did the same
Yeah,
thing. I couldn't escape the Jordan Peterson though, because it was all over
yeah,
social
that
media.
part. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
couldn't escape it. But everything else, I didn't look it up. I actually did exactly what FPK did here. So and he finished up by saying, I didn't get it was a simulation until the very end. Um we'll go into that in a bit. But I do want to. But that is, I think. uh, How do I say this? I will give the movie a lot of credit. I'll give the movie a lot of credit
Yeah,
because
it was well
I
done.
didn't think Olivia Wilde had it in her to
Produce
create
such a
something like
yeah.
that. You know what I mean? Like, I actually didn't. I actually went into it did I went into it really blank slate, and I
Mm-hmm.
was really surprised because I think it started off well. It didn't start off that badly.
First
Um,
act was good.
yeah, it done a wonderful job saying the world up. I
Mm-hmm.
think it became a bit
Faltered.
muddy in the middle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And at the end, I was a bit more or less. Oh yeah, spoilers as well. Let me just put out spoilers.
Yeah,
We
this is
were already
spoiler
talking about the movie. It's a
spoilery
discussion. We're
review.
gonna talk about the movie. We're gonna talk about the movie. It's not really a review. I personally don't like reviews or the rating system and all that.
Yeah,
But
oh, we're not rating it. Yeah, no.
um, but I want to talk to you about, okay, the themes. What themes do you think that they were trying to juggle here?
Again, it's the biggest theme is obviously patriarchy. That is the biggest
Mhm.
theme. It is the fact that I'm I'm assuming from the story is the fact that if I could just break this down real quick, the fact that spoiler alert again, that Florence Pugh's character was a doctor
Yeah,
in the field. It again
yeah,
goes to speak to the fact that women who are successful dating men who are not successful, those men will feel threatened per se by that woman's success and try and like almost hinder her progress in any way possible to keep the relationship alive and in their benefit
okay,
or to keep their power. So again, it's like it just spoke to the fact that women can't win essentially. It's like either you're a housewife and you're happy, da da da, but you're not being your true self because you could be an achiever. But if you are an achiever and you date a man who is not, he will resent you for being that achiever and him not having that success. Like it's a tough one, but for me the major theme was definitely patriarchy.
yeah,
I'd say.
it was how patriarch and this is and that theme. This is, personally, I will say that this is how a movie like this should be a template of how you deliver a message like that, a message that loaded. This
Mm,
should be how,
speak
because
on it.
it um I don't like making comparisons because people will instantly attach their feelings onto the movie that you're comparing it to,
I know the way
and
you're gonna compare it to. Go
you
on.
know what I mean, and not look at what you're trying to say. But I couldn't help but feel like the way it delivered the theme of patriarchy and everything that they were going with,
Mm-hmm.
the choice to go with a simulation was a very smart choice.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
It was a very smart choice. Um, Not in the sense of the Matrix, because I know people attributed to that a lot because of, obviously, the Matrix was
Mm-hmm.
a simulation,
Yeah.
uh, this and that. all of that. I get it. We get it. But it actually wasn't the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
This reminded me of Westworld on Overdrive.
Ah,
It reminded me of Westworld. It reminded me of,
yo.
because if you think about it, it's not really that different. And if you really want to go into
Yes.
classic, if you want to go into cult classic, and this is where I gotta praise Olivia for her work in delivering it the way she did,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not sure if you've seen it, but the 13th Floor,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that is the cult classic.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most underrated sci-fi movie I have ever seen.
Really?
That and Dark City,
Yeah.
but this one, the 13th Floor is literally just like it's literally just like uh Don't Worry Darling. However, from what I can remember from the 13th Floor, because I watched it quite a while ago, is he was already in the simulation and he was trying to get out.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing is happening here, except except on the 13th floor we don't really know who built it.
Mm-hmm.
That was never revealed, and that's why it's amazing, because why should you need to know? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's just okay. Someone
Yeah.
built it. Let it go. Let it. He got out of it in the end.
Mm-hmm.
No questions need to answer. I believe if the questions were answered in that movie, he would have killed it.
Yeah.
But we do get the idea that it was a shadowy figure
Mm-hmm.
that built this world, and people just came here to just do what they like
Yeah.
and leave.
Yep.
We get that idea, and the people that were living in the world did not even know that it was actually a simulated world. That's that movie. But when it comes to this, I think she executed that one pretty well, in
She
the
did.
sense that the women that were brought into this world
Mm-hmm.
were brought in unbeknownst by their husband. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? They had no idea by their partners. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm assuming they're partners, because that's the message that I'm getting from women. It could have been somebody that they just met for a week, and
Some
they
of
were
them
brought
were
in.
consensual, which was actually very interesting as well.
Yeah,
Some of them
yeah,
were consensual because some of
yeah.
the, like, especially Olivia Wilde's character, she stated that she wanted to be there because she had lost her kids in the real world.
Oh, yeah,
Hence being there gave her an opportunity to be with her kids. So it was like a way for herself to escape into
yeah.
this world where she can be with her children and embrace just the life of motherhood.
I think I think that is where I had a problem with it a little bit,
Mm,
and
really?
I think it done well trying to tackle the consent theme that sometimes we bring ourselves and consent ourselves to this world that we're living in. In this case, the inceldom or the patriarchy or whatever.
Okay, okay.
We concern ourselves into this world because of things that we cannot control. So if we
Yeah.
had the control, we would have done it. So it wasn't really a commentary on consent. It was more of a
Yeah,
commentary
100%.
of forced consent.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I gathered from it. However, and this is the big however. However, I think her putting that in there kind of convoluted the movie a little bit, because it kind of doesn't. Well, for one, it
No, I think it was
really.
good.
Huh?
I think that was good.
Okay. Before I say my point, why do you think it was? Why do you think it was good?
I think it's because it gives a nice padding to the fact that not everybody would resonate with that message of like, oh, they're just all prisoners. You know what I mean? It would kind of feel a bit like, oh, the message is just like, men are evil and that's it. Period. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Point blank. Period.
Yeah.
Whereas that having put that in insulates to say like, some people actually enjoy having these type of either relationships or having this type of dynamic where
You
they
made it nuanced.
just where
You
they
made it
get to just live a life of luxury and just take care of the kids and whatnot. Like, it gave you that breath of fresh air. It's like, at first, whenever I saw the thing unravel, I thought, oh my god, they're all stuck here. It's all been forced upon them. But when she revealed that she was here of her own accord, it gave some agency to some of the characters. That they're not all helpless damsels in distress. Some of them
yeah.
actually have autonomy over the actions that they're taking.
And they're
So it
doing
made
yeah.
it make sense. Yeah. So you're like, okay, so they're not all helpless. But yeah, that's why I liked it.
Yeah, when you, well, I mean, when you put it like that, the reason why I didn't like it is because it detracts a little bit from, well, the hero per se. I don't think we really got to know the her motivation of being here. I forgot the name of Florence Pugh's character. I forgot the name of her character, but I don't think we had the I don't think we knew exactly whether she consented or not.
Oh, she
I
did. She did.
huh?
She didn't.
But the idea of losing, but the point I'm making is we didn't know whether she consented or not because of the emotional journey that she went on, because she didn't want to lose. She ideally didn't want to lose her husband in the end of the day. So it plays on
Mm.
that a little bit
No,
from.
no, no. I see. I think she was on the verge of losing her husband, and she was on the verge of coming to terms with the fact that she's gonna be okay losing him, because fundamentally he's holding her back. Because even the comment when she was going into the when she came back from work, and he was trying to kiss up on her and all this stuff, and then she was like, I'm tired. I'm gonna go sleep. Da, da, da.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
want any of it. So she was already checking out emotionally out of the relationship, and he was starting to see that, and he felt that he had
Oh
no
yeah,
other
yeah. Okay, okay, okay,
choice
okay.
but to
Thanks for
do
linking that.
this
Yeah,
to save the
yeah,
relationship and to save their
yeah,
marriage.
yeah.
So he
So
subjected her
yeah,
to that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Okay, so and with okay, now I get it, because when you put Olivia's character as the foil, you actually get to understand her story a bit more, because she didn't have what Olivia's character is having to stay with her. Because hold up, let me try and think about this one.
Mm-hmm.
Did this I can't remember. I can't remember this one. What was the relationship like between Olivia's character and her husband? Did they really like each other like that, or
Yeah, it was
was
fine.
it just it was fine? Okay,
No, it was fine.
okay.
There was no like turmoil
So
or like
all right,
bad
yeah.
stuff going
So
on.
she was the life that people would want to live in. Well, she represented that, but it's not ideally the life that Pew wanted. So when you
Mm-hmm. Yes.
so when you bring it together, you do get the idea that, well, I mean, it's actually well written. If you think about it,
Yeah.
when you bring the two characters together, you can see clearly the message being look, we live in this world, we don't want it. We don't want. Not all of us want to be part of it. Some of us actually want to be part of it, but
Mm-hmm.
for very nuanced reasons.
Mm-hmm.
There is actually no character in there that was consenting to actually be there for their own. Like, I actually want to be here, and that's where I feel like the ending, as well as her own character, kind of fails, because it didn't tackle that middleman. That's the main point I was trying to say. It detracts from, okay, you got you got the idea of forced consent that's played in that's played with Olivia's character. Then you got the
But
idea
I'm
of,
so confused. How would Olivia's character's point be forced consent? How does that's losing me here.
because she's doing it for the children. That's not really consent on her part.
Yeah, but
Take
she wants to be there because she wants to be with her kids.
That's my
That's
point.
yeah. Well, so what? Hold
That's
on.
that is she. Okay, take the children away. Does she really want to be there?
No, because she'd be in the real world without her kids.
Thank
Yeah.
you. So it's
Yeah.
forced consent. She's just doing it because, well, I mean,
But how
okay,
is it
it's
forced? This is what I'm saying. Because
okay, okay, okay.
force
I'm
assumes
gonna,
that she's
okay,
being pressured
all right,
into
all
a
right, all right.
situation that
Brash
she's.
words, brash words. Let me explain what I mean by forced consent.
Yeah.
Forced consent. When I say forced consent, it means you consent, but it's not like you really have a choice, because they're in terms of children. And I'm talking about the meta commentary, not exactly what happened in the
Oh, okay.
movie.
I see what you're saying now. Okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now you've elaborated
Because
on it. It makes sense. Yeah.
yeah. So it's not necessarily what happened in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
because in the movie you want children. That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
It's an ambition. It's a goal.
Mm-hmm.
You want children. This world happens. This world happens
Provide.
to give it to you. You go for it. That's consent, right? Before I go in, let me just say hi Daisy Go. Yes, thank you so much. I fixed it. I think it was a setting the sound that went on the live stream, I found that it was the same with my mixes. So that was my bad. But yeah. But thank you for that. Thank you for letting me know that the sound is working fine. She said she was only there because her kids were alive there. Her kids were dead in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so uh, I mean, yeah. So both. So in the end of the day, it's she wanted to go there
Mm-hmm.
for her own reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Kids dead in the real world. She wants them to. She wants to live it back. So she goes into the simulation to get them back. It kind of there is another movie that actually reminds me of. I can't think of it for some reason now, but there's another movie that reminds me of that. Um, but I think it is Dark City. Have you seen Dark City?
Duck City.
Dark
Yeah.
City. So
Mm.
basically, it's an idea. It's a planet that's run by these big heads or something like that,
Big
and
head.
it's got a few people in there, and the person that found out leaves the planet. But I think I'm not sure if someone actually. I'm going off on a tangent, but to bring the point of my meta commentary in
Mm-hmm.
is we consent into living in and accepting the patriarchy and being with the people that we are being in because we have children. Like that's the man. Like sometimes we choose this life because our children is the reason why we actually would live this type of life that we don't necessarily all agree with. Is basically uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
I think the medical commentary is.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. The fact that it's it's the children keeping her there, not literally that she likes the world that
Yeah,
is that world,
yeah,
but
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like obviously she enjoyed it because it seemed again. This is what I'm saying. This is why it's so interesting because it's so interesting, and it's hard for me to see that she was only there for the kids because watching the movie and throughout the movie, she genuinely enjoyed her time, whether it was shopping or chilling with her friends, because she understood obviously these are real people as well, and she built genuine relationships with these people, which for all
yeah,
intents and purposes were true friendships.
yeah,
So she was like, it wasn't like she was like wanting to be with her kids every minute of every day,
yeah,
which would
yeah.
make it seem more credible that she's in that world just for the kids. But even in the movie, she was, saying, "Oh, kids, don't do this, don't do that. Me and mommy's gonna go over here." Like, she was like disciplining the kids as she would in normal life. Like she was treating it like, like normal life essentially. Like she was
Ambition.
embracing the
It's
journey.
ambition. It's the way I took it as is what she wants. Like
Yeah, yeah.
she's getting fulfilled
Mm-hmm.
whether she likes the world or not. It's her choice to live in this world, and she's gonna make the most of it, even though she knows what
Yeah.
the previous world presented.
Yes,
Like
100%. Yeah.
yeah, so it gives me the thought. It does give me the thought of one, the previous world must have been so bad. We don't know about how that previous world actually is, which is
Yeah.
actually a very good thing because we can only draw inferences
In front of seeing.
to what it may have been like, but um, it can't have been butterfly and roses if they have to make a simulation world where it's based on this one man's ideology. Like, so I don't know what the real world would be like that she would wanna. Was it a paradise that she would want to leave it just to get children and build this rapport here? Like
Yeah.
it does make you think about the real world, and I'm happy they didn't even give any inkling to the real world
Mm-hmm.
because I think that was beautiful delivery in my honest opinion.
Yeah.
I think
Honestly, yeah, it was, it
um,
was pretty good. It was very, very good.
I do think, and I do think they made a mistake in the one mistake that I do think they made is attributing Jordan Peterson to who played I forgot his name. Who plays
Chris Pine.
Chris Pine? That's thank you. Making him
They shouldn't have even said
Jordan,
that. It made no sense whatsoever. It made
yeah,
no sense whatsoever.
yeah.
It had no
I
legs to
pers-
stand on.
No, I
It,
actually think I don't mind Jordan Peterson actually being the guy to use for this. I actually didn't mind it.
but they didn't even get his
But
messaging correct. That's the thing.
that's
Like
the
it
point.
was.
That's what I was getting to. I think I think they've done a very good job actually, building this world that
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson ideally created this world for these people to inhabit and run amok, basically.
Hmm.
And the war was this, the war was that, the war was
But
that.
this is the thing.
All right,
Like when you say like this is saying it's so interesting because when you're saying run amok, it's not really like because it's very interesting
but
because the way the
that's how I'm literally speaking to how she presented it.
no I
She
know but this is what I'm saying like
presented it as that.
it's so interesting because whenever you see the movie and you see what is actually happening in the movie, like
Yeah, Gemma Chan, yeah,
all
yeah.
yeah all parties in the movie are kind of in like they're not like there's no sense of like abuse going on in there. You know what I mean? Like in terms of like actual abuse in the simulation itself. Like everybody is very cordial to their wives. They're very kind. They're very respectful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like there was
yeah,
no like the only abuse going was like the fact that some of them were in there unconsensually, but
yeah,
in the actual simulation there was no like actual abuse happening to them unless they
yeah,
found out that they're leaving. It's a simulation and they have to leave, and then it went
yeah.
all fucked up.
Which is why I don't actually fault her for the way she wrote the world
It's
and
very
modeled it
interesting.
after Jordan Peterson, because I don't think she was actually critiquing the world per se, because
Mm.
if she was, she would have made it as just like like you said, abuse going on, all of those things. I
Mm-hmm.
think I think the idea that she wanted to get across is this is a
Traditional.
world that we don't have a choice to live at, because
Mm-hmm.
that was what I think she delivered using the orange or red men or whatever you want to call them,
Yeah.
to try and keep the control and keep them
Enforce it.
docile.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's what I got, and everyone trying to keep up with this persona to keep their wives who didn't really know that they were there,
Mm-hmm.
keep their wives in that. The uh uh the main point I was gonna get across with Chris Pine's character, I think when you hear his monologue and what he stands for is where, yes, I actually agree with you. She didn't handle that well, because
Yeah.
it's not really anything that
Mr. Peterson.
Jonathan Peterson. I'm actually gonna do a standalone video to actually illustrate this on a video essay. But the main point I do want to say is I think she should have made Jordan Peterson's character a shadow character and use him as a voice, a mouthpiece.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm gonna say Andrew Tate, he
Mm-hmm.
will be the mouthpiece. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But Jordan Peterson should have been the doctor. The doctor that was actually,
Yeah, that came in and was interviewing and clinically
yeah,
studying
should
the
have been him.
patients and
It should have
seeing,
been,
yeah,
yeah,
seeing
he
the.
should have been the shadow creator, in my honest opinion,
Mm-hmm.
because if you think about it, in real life, making Chris Pine, Jordan Peterson, get stabbed by his wife is the most. I'm sorry, is the most.
But again, it
This is
speaks.
what
It,
made
it
me
speaks to
really
the
hate the
message.
movie,
Yeah,
because in real life,
because
in real
again,
life,
we have to see where she's going with this. Like her position already in life is that she is divorcing her current husband,
I
Jason
get it.
Sudeikis. So it's she has to put a stab in there for
Yeah,
for
but I know,
all the dudes.
but but
It's
look
mad.
at the ramifications of it, because I'm not sure if people pick this up. But Jordan Peterson being Chris Pine and getting stabbed by his wife in real life, the meta commentary is his wife was actually going through sickness,
Mm-hmm.
and Jordan Peterson actually stood by his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Why would she stab him?
Mm-hmm.
What?
It makes no sense. But I think the meta
You know,
commentary
you know,
she's trying
nothing.
to
Like,
say that everybody unites under this front to say that we don't want this life. It's kind of almost like what happened in real life with the whole revolution, the whole sexual revolution. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of exactly what happened with
yeah,
that. The fact that everything changed. Everyone was free to live the lives they wanted to live. They were not women were not constrained to just being housewives, whatever. They can have a career, live their best lives. Do what they need to do, and it's kind of represented in this movie essentially. Like even though like the majority of relationships back in the day might not have been like abusive,
Mm,
even though traditional, the fact that there was no other system in place, or it did not allow for freedom for people to choose whether or not to be in that situation, was what
yeah,
caused problems for a lot of people and leading to the the change, which is
yeah.
beautifully captured in the movie because they show it like one for one, which
Oops.
is pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna look. I've always said it was actually probably the best delivered movie. I need H2K Clan. I just let me just reply to this. He says, I didn't know Chris Pine was based on Jordan Peterson. Yes, he was. He
Yeah.
was. She made that very clear on her interviews. I didn't like that spoiler because I would have liked to find out afterwards. If she said it after the movie, like was released, it would have been really interesting. But I think she said it for clicks. And I need to watch. Yeah, I'm watching it again after this for the video essay.
Mm.
But I think I personally think that where, like I said, where she missed the mark a little bit is she maybe it would have been. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt though. Maybe it would have been juggling way too much themes if she did this. But I feel like she should have brought in another character, or just make and just make one of the girls actually be someone that wants to actually be in a world and doesn't actually like the previous world and was kind of going against Pew. But obviously, he would have seen a bit more hero
Yeah, I think
villain.
I think I think that's what she tried to do with her own character, but
Yeah,
it still
he-
had that inkling of I'm just doing this for the kids. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Where it's still like, it's all well and good. I've never been in the real world, but I'm here because I do
yeah,
have kids in the real world and I lost them.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like,
I think she could have used her to try and stop the one that actually does like this world and doesn't like the other world, because and kind of use this character that I was talking about as kind of an maybe an exposition
hmm
of giving a brief rundown of what that world was like. I just didn't like. It doesn't have to be overt messages. It's just like I just didn't like the fact that I didn't get the freedom to choose what I wanted to do or something. Just
yeah,
something, just
light,
something that gives a little bit of a light of what this world may be.
yeah,
But may have been like, but even with me saying that, I don't like. I still do like the idea that they kept it on the wraps and not
yeah,
really show what that world was like. But it does give the idea. It does give the idea that the world is not too different when they did show that those little scenes, where they
hmm
were where she found out that they were in the can I say incubator? Maybe
incubator, yeah,
yeah, in the room. It does give the
yeah,
idea. It does give the idea that the world is not actually too different, because the way that they laid out the scenery and all that, it just looked like a normal room, really.
yeah,
And they just had a sophisticated computer. So how different was that world to now? Maybe they were trying to escape. Maybe they were trying to escape uh, 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 political tyranny, or I don't, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. But I would have
Political
liked
aside.
someone. I would have liked some to see someone come in and just was in love with this world, and maybe she was poor in the other world and she just didn't have, or maybe even someone that just didn't want someone that didn't that no one really liked
Mm.
in the world. You know what I mean? She was shunned basically,
Mm-hmm.
and her motivations will be completely different from actually living here. Like, I would have liked that, but I'm not prioritizing that. The priority is it would have been the shift of characters. I personally think it would have been amazing to give the Doctor
Yeah.
um, Jordan Peterson's role,
Yeah, it
and
would have been good.
yeah, and have him be killed by Pew, because I think he was there, but I think he was there, and making Pine and Andrew Tate would have would have been overall it would have been good.
What? No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't.
No,
No, it wouldn't. That is.
I don't know because
No, it
I don't
wouldn't.
know why, but just hearing that monologue, it sounds more like Andrew Tate.
Yeah, but even with thingy, even with Top G, it's not malice. He doesn't say you have to do this. He says these the people who do this are the people I prefer to be around. Like there's a complete difference. It's like they can do what they want to do, but the people he will have around him are the people who do X. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
he would prefer more traditional individuals than
yeah.
more modern individuals to be around him. Like that's just how he feels. You know what I'm saying? It's within his nature to feel that way, and that's a good position to have. It's like anybody can choose the path that they want to have, and that's ultimately the key here is the freedom of choice, to have the choice to pick the path you want. Where if anybody can have the type of relationship they want to have and not get shamed for it, whether it be a traditional relationship or there'd be a modern relationship that is 50-50-esque, where both partners are working, or whether it is a traditional relationship but roles reversed, where the woman is a breadwinner and the man is the, caretaker of the kids and the family and the home. Like people can have those live those lives if they want to and not be judged or shamed for it. That's the road you want to have where people can choose what they want to do.
I hear that.
Unless they say their opinion and get persecuted online. Lord have mercy.
Unless,
Lord have mercy.
I mean, well, I mean, I hear that. That's your. I mean, that's your take of, if I'm not mistaken, Andrew Tate. If I'm not mistaken,
That is the only take.
that okay. That's the only take
That is the only
according
take.
to you.
That
I'm
is the
saying,
truth. That is
no,
like
because an opinion really is just an opinion. It can't be the.
if you
I
actually
know you can
asked
say
him,
that. He will actually say that. He
if
will
you
actually say
asked
that.
him if I characterized it correctly, he would say yes.
Yeah.
I did. And I
Okay.
did.
But I'm saying, do you think that she done the job of actually delivering that message in the movie?
Again, like it's a tough message to even try and deliver because especially the world we're in now, it's very divisive. Like it seems very frictional between the genders right now. It seems
Yeah.
very very frictional between the genders. So it's a hard message to try and convince men to even hear the message. You know what I mean? Like it's one where they would have to sit there and like put pride aside and be like, oh wow, this is interesting. But if they don't, they're gonna be there like, well, is this what they're trying to say about us? Like they'll kind of get butthurt and be in their feelings and think, oh my god, this is really hurtful to us as a, as a gender. Like they're trying to say that all we want to do is put women in simulations and treat them this way, like da 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 da. No, it's like the choice is what is necessary. It's kind of like I like the movie and how it portrays the message, but ultimately the conclusion I feel like I needed more on the back end of the real world, like real world repercussions for those individuals. You know what I mean?
Ah, okay.
Like I feel like I needed to see the repercussions for the individuals involved in the real world. Just like a court sentencing or something. You know what I mean? Like a gavel hitting the ground or something, just to know like there was justice served for the injustice that was done, or whether to understand that was the whole world implicit in this scheme, or was it just a rogue group of individuals, the incels or whatever, that were to blame for this situation.
Yeah, I think what you're raising is what the movie done well in, and that's why I gave it 10 out. Well, not I'm not gonna give it a
10 out of
rate,
10 would
but
recommend.
it's an expression. When I say 10 out of 10 for the delivery, it's an expression. But that's why I give so much props to the way it she delivered it, because let's like, we know how complex it is to even try to attempt to deliver that movie in today's day and age, and I think it speaks even more that there is an extra layer of commentary here to give the idea that if you did prejudge the movie, and you really missed out, if I'm being honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
you really missed out on a great experience. And 1 second, thank you so much for joining H2K. I appreciate you. No, thank you for interacting with us and joining in with the chat. Um, he said he's gonna go and feed the the cats. He's
Yeah.
gonna go and feed the cat that he watched on the replay. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think but I do think I think it achieved what it did, not Matrix level because that was, but you get the idea. But the reason why I mentioned Matrix is at least you get the idea that someone is controlling the world. Do you know what I'm trying to
You
say?
know what is happening. You know that there's a
Yeah,
larger enemy
enemy at stake. You know
at
what I mean?
stake. Yeah.
And this is Dominion. We don't in Matrix One. We don't actually know who the actual enemy is.
Mm-hmm.
We just know that the world has been taken over by is it sentinels or robots or whatever.
Like
You know what I mean?
AI, yeah,
The
intelligent
AI. So
beings.
but he's not in front of us. But we get the idea. We
Mm-hmm.
get the idea. That's where I think that's why based on that comparison is why I said they should have brought in a character that does give an exposition. Doesn't have to be a lot. Um,
Mm.
but does give some sort of exposition of the world that they're trying to escape from. You know what I mean? Just to give the idea that hey, this is not arbitrary.
Yeah.
You didn't just make this world randomly. There was actually a purpose behind it. But you don't like a kind of a villain Thanos backstory
Mm-hmm.
for example. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like like she may have just seen she may have just seen this character may have just seen the creator of the world, Chris Pine's character, and just gone in and just been like, you know what, anything is better than this. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Anything is better than this. Hey Daisy girl, checking in. She says checking in. Uh, ooh, this is the one thing, and we're gonna close off with this one actually.
Mm-hmm.
There was a part of the movie that I believe it was at the near the start, and they were trying to lay the foundation of what's actually going on in the world and to show the controlling nature of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I never understood the purpose of this really, not narratively. I mean, I understood the meta commentary technically, which was the ballet scene.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, my meta commentary, the way I took it was, you know how ballet is very structured,
Mm-hmm.
very can I say orthodox? But I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
Rigid.
structured. It's very rigid. You don't really get much room to
Mm-hmm.
do anything, and it's pretty much. But at the same time, ballet is the entry for every dance style there is. So
Mm-hmm.
everyone kind of needs to understand ballet before they can attempt to be a good dancer, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I learned from when I was working at this school, and the teacher was teaching was teaching hip hop classes, but she done ballet as well.
Mm-hmm.
She and what she told me was ballet is probably the one style that you need to learn to really
Mm-hmm.
master all the other styles.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I was blown away. But the point I brought that out was with that understanding in mind when they were teaching ballet, I never got it because I think it confused me a little bit in sense of are they trying to say that this world is really controlling, or are they
Mm-hmm.
trying to say that this is what Florence Pugh character actually wants to do in this world?
Mm-hmm. I think
That's
I
where I didn't like. What did you think of it? Because
I think I
I
got
didn't
it.
get.
I feel like it's one of those things where it's like it's a herd mentality type situation where they're trying to display that ballet is a rigid and structured it's a rigid and structured thing, kind of like the patriarchy. There's hierarchy to the patriarchy, in the same way that ballet was rigid, especially for the female characters, and it was trying to say that those female characters had to abide by these certain rules and regulations. At the same time, if any of them felt like they needed to leave that situation, the ballet per se, they were shamed for it and guilted into feeling like they needed to, conform. Same with the patriarchy in terms of how it's purported that even women who are pro patriarchy, they shame other women into conforming to the patriarchy, saying, "Oh no, no," you know what I'm saying?
Internalized
It's,
misogyny,
eh,
basically.
eh, eh, that's how they're portraying it, to say, look, even these women who are in this rigid structure, when people have free thought or free thinking to try and move away from such a rigid structure, they feel a certain type of way that, this is how we're supposed to be. It's like, what's that saying about, the head that sticks, the nail that sticks out too far gets hammered down. Essentially, they want
Okay.
everything to conform to the same standard, so everything can be measured and consistent. When you have free thinking, you free radicals, people doing what they want to do, it causes instability and inconsistency, and almost a sense of dread of not knowing what will come from that, essentially. And I think that's why a lot of individuals, like, let's say individuals who are like pro patriarchy, would say is, there is no evidence for matriarchy or anything that is not patriarchy in the history of humankind. So it's kind of going in blind. So there's a kind of apprehension into going into something blind, because there is no evidence for that thing. So they feel kind of an apprehension. Same with those women in the ballet. They want
Ah,
everything to conform because there's
ah.
apprehension to what is different.
Now that you brought it up, that makes sense why it was black, why they kept fading the exposition to black
Mm-hmm.
and glass breaking as
Mm-hmm.
well. Actually, that actually okay.
Because same
That's
with,
not
because black and
actually that's
white is very simple. You understand
yeah
black and
yeah
white. With color, there's very nuances. There's
yeah
colors between colors. So you
yeah.
have to
There's
kind
cyan,
of,
there's blue,
mm-hmm,
there's magenta. You know what I mean?
shades
Like
of
yeah
shades of gray.
yeah.
There's shades of things. So you kind of have to start now operating in this sense of how you can't quantify that, in a sense. So you, it makes people uneasy when you can't quantify. There's this whole uh, book, apparently, I forgot the name of the book, but it's like the paradox of choice. When you have too many choices, it cripples you and makes you fearful. But if you have the black and white, it's simple. You
It's very
understand
simple.
it.
Yeah
It
yeah.
allows you to just move in the world the way you're meant to. And there's also like a theory to say that humans are not adapted to have this, like, a lot of choice. They need some type of structure to allow them to live,
I agree.
a
I
life
agree.
of fulfillment.
Here's a question. Do you think philosophy
Mm-hmm.
um has made it so that we are overloaded with choices? Because that's where all the social norms that we have kind of comes from really.
Yeah, like, I think there's two things here, that there is choices we make consciously, and there's choices we make subconsciously. And I feel like what the world is trying to do now is make the subconscious choices conscious, and try
Okay.
and force consciousness on the subconscious, if you get what I'm saying.
That's a good
Like,
thing. I get it. I get
there's
it. Yeah.
certain things that are just
We just
naturally
can't control.
people feel,
Yeah.
and now
Yeah.
they're trying to make you consciously say that that's wrong to subconsciously be like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's kind
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
it's very
No, no, I
interesting
get it.
subversion
No,
of
no,
what is happening.
I get it.
Like betray your instincts and your the things that have allowed the human species to survive for
For
these
so long.
thousands of years,
Yeah.
for this new method that has no evidence of standing the test of time. That's why, it's a bit tricky. It's a
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. I mean, when you put it like that, I actually do agree because I mean, and you may get the counter argument of, well, well, we are supposed to evolve from our instincts. We're not supposed to go just by our instincts, and
What?
that's well, I mean, the reason why the reason why the reason why I say that is because they might use the example of we're not just going around fucking everything that we see. We have
But
a
you
lot
see,
more control today
but
to
you
raise a
see,
family. Huh?
that's the problem. See, this is the key here. The key is that we have the control, but we seldom think that we have so much control that we're beyond the stage of animal and that we are this new
That's what I'm
intellectual
trying.
being called human.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
we are still in the animal kingdom. We still have our fight or flight responses until, like, this is the fundamental key. Like, until our brains
can move
take
from.
can move from that process. Like, there are so many processes, again, as a biologist and, a person who study biology, you
Oh
understand
yeah,
that
I
there
forgot you did that in
you
uni. I
see,
forgot you did that in uni. I forgot
there
completely forgot you did that.
there is
Yeah.
so many processes in our body that are already regulated subconsciously. It does not make sense that those processes will ever become conscious. Breathing, circulation, immune system, like, those things happen unconsciously. So for us to sit here and think that we'll get to a stage where the fight or flight response will be gone without any major adaptation technologically to take away certain wills, free will, is asinine. In
Yeah,
order for us to get to a point of real advancement, you have to take away free will to a certain level. There is no way that you can advance a society with free will to become so technically advanced, because we get to a point where certain people want certain things to happen for them and other people want the opposite, and you won't have what they call a hive mind. If you look at a lot of scientific, like, futuristic documentation about what the world should be or could be, what the future would be, is this idea of a hive mind like thinking being the best possible system, because ants are so systematic in their approach to like living, is because
yeah, 100%.
they understand the leadership structure. And this is why right now in humanity there's such a problem with, like, what's happening, because it's such a volatile time. We don't understand what is happening. Beforehand, it was the patriarchy. We knew what was happening. Men are in charge. This and the other. We understand it's a patriarchy. Okay, this is what we do. Everyone understands the roles in society. It's efficient. There is no job you go to where they tell you, you kind of figure out your role and you kind of, we'll kind of see what works and da-da-da. No, you get into a job and they give you a rigid structure to follow, because they understand that with a rigid structure you get performance. With performance you get optimization. You can't optimize a system unless each component works to the maximum effect and to the
Yeah,
strength of its ability. So in
yeah,
today's society, what is happening is different components are trying to fit into different sections, but sometimes they're not optimized for those environments. And it causes a lot of friction, because now people go into relationships, especially in the West, where you don't know if it's going to be 50-50, it's going to be traditional. You don't know if it's going to be traditional 50-50. You don't know which way it's going to be. So you spend a lot more time having to discuss and find out, and to kind of court your way through this in a more long-winded process than back in the day, where you kind of know, okay, I'm a guy, you're a girl, this is what happens. In the house, we know these are the rules. It's standard. Everyone knows it's uniform. It's easy. That's why there was so much advancement back in the day compared to now. Because there was a simple system and we knew, okay, this is everyone understands the roles, so we can focus on the larger goals of building society at large. But
yeah.
nowadays, we're more introspective and focusing on how can I, the individual, identify with myself. I'm rambling, but anyway, you get the point.
No, no. I think I can. I definitely understand everywhere you're coming from, and I think to even add to your point, the music and the entertainment industry, like the film industry, etc., is supposed to be that industry that is meant to, technically, by on its face, should have got rid of the hierarchy and the process and be just free. It
Mm-hmm.
should be like that. But you can see how much is hardwired into us to like organization, to like
100%.
a black and white thinking.
Mm-hmm.
The creative thought is expansive, is free, is limitless. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? The oh damn. Oh, I think my sound just went.
Oh, your sound?
Yeah. At
What?
OBS Studio. Oh no, no, it's not my sound. The internet. Anyway, so
Oh, okay.
the internet just dipped out for a bit. But the point I was saying was we understand, like, the idea behind the creative arts is actually boundless. It's
Mm-hmm.
not meant to have rules. It's not
Yes.
meant to have anything.
Mm-hmm.
However, even when you break it down, it's still very systematic.
Mm-hmm.
You can't like like for example, you can't write music
Mm-hmm.
without following the laws of music.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sample a song properly. In this case, you can't produce a song that, let's say, is in A minor, and then you try and bring it into, I'm butchering
Mm-hmm.
it because I can't remember the keys,
Mm-hmm.
but a D minor, like, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Some keys just don't work at all together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
There's no
that is
harmony.
exactly. So even in a creative part like that,
Mm-hmm.
still has a structure behind it, which goes to my point. I think what has happened all through time is, if I'm not sure if you are aware of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Oh, 100%. Yes.
Okay,
100%.
so uh, with the understanding of of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we actually have gone from the part which I believe us as a collective, like human
Mm-hmm.
beings, we have stopped worrying about survival,
Mm-hmm.
which is the bottom, and we're now reaching that self-actualization phase.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe what once we actually master that as a collective, we will get to that technological advancement that you actually speak of.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But this
because
is the
at the
thing.
moment,
Oh, God.
um, because because I think all through time, I think it was when we reached, if I'm not mistaken, I think we really started having different type of jobs when when I believe, don't quote me, I could be wrong on
Mm-hmm.
this. After Persia, I think that's when we started looking at our roles in society,
Mm-hmm.
like as a people, not just as an hierarchy, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
the people that had real control or real kind of roles in society
Yeah.
were always the people that work for Pharaoh. Or
Mm-hmm.
and now we start looking at, okay, let's maybe we should spread it out a little bit and give everyone else, you know,
Mm-hmm.
a chance to have status. And then over time we evolved, and now we have so many roles to play, you know, in society.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not delivering this point well. I don't get just
I
I don't think I'm
was
delivering
where we're
this
going with
point
this. Where
well.
we're going with
But
this.
I'm trying to, you know, kind of walk through
Uh-huh.
the Maslow's
Hierarchy
principle.
of needs. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think we are. What's the fourth one? Flipping heck. I think we are getting into where we are now aligning our spiritual beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that before self actualization, we got to come to terms with our own intrinsic beliefs and needs,
Mm-hmm.
and then we can all, as a collective, not just one person, but that's what I think. If you want to bring that
Yeah,
in
but this is the key thing. This is why it will never like get us anywhere, and there'll still be again. This is why it's ultimately futile, regardless of what we choose, because obviously there'll be ultimately more choice, but you just get different tribes of humans who believe certain things. So those tribes will congregate together, and thus you still have like I don't know what the end goal is of humanity as a species is. Is it to coalesce as one people and achieve goals together as one as a
I think
group?
we are. I personally think we are.
But it is not. It will not be achieved if there's always because there will always be people thinking differently and those people
Yeah.
always congregate together, so it would never get to a point of harmony. And I think that's why I don't know if you've seen the movie Watchmen,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
and I think
Class.
that's why Ozymandias understood this, that humans fundamentally cannot get along together unless there is a greater threat that almost forces them to come into allegiance together for their own survival, because survival is the thing that always brings people
That's
together.
okay. That's why I brought in the Maslow's hierarchy
Mm-hmm.
of needs to try and. I mean, it's not a perfect model to illustrate this because it's meant to be individualistic, not necessarily as a group.
Yeah.
But if I was to look at it from an historical perspective, I think the way we lived in history
Mhm.
has always been survival, 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 and we
Mhm.
were a lot easier. We tackled everything a lot more collectively than we are now, because that's why when you look at it from an historical point of view, I think we've reached the point, and that's why I mentioned philosophy earlier,
Mhm.
because I think when we actually brought in the concept of philosophy and all of those things, we had it in terms of gods back in the day,
Mhm.
the Egyptian gods and all of that, but it wasn't as broken down really
Mhm.
as it is now, and as transparent as it is now. I don't think
Yeah.
they thought that much about it back then. You know what I mean? I just think they appreciated that there was something out there, and then
Mhm.
they just threw it out. But they didn't really aspire to that. They just
Mhm.
wanted to survive, really. They're just like, okay, cool. We got this. They'll protect us.
Mhm.
They just, you know what I mean? They
They're
just go on
gonna
with life.
protect us. They're gonna protect us. Uh,
Okay. But yeah. So I am gonna bring the stream to a close. Thank you so much for joining us, Daisy Girl. I appreciate you. We're just gonna bring the stream to a close now. Thank you for joining me, King GDB.
that got deep real quick at the end there, didn't it?
Yeah, like,
Jesus.
no,
Got very
because
philosophical.
but it makes. I mean, if you want to connect this to the movie, it really it
It
is
gets you
discussing
thinking.
it. It is discussing it, but not on the level that we just talked about. But
Mhm.
it is touching on, and I feel like we will get to that point where we've reached a self actualization, and the technology might actually be you just live in your own world. You don't even go out to work anymore. You
Mhm.
just you're just plugged into a machine, and then you get to live it. You work in that you do what you want. You earn your credits there, and then you just come out, and then you just come out of the simulation
To
and
eat.
then just I don't know, but I think we will live in a world where things are where we reach a point that we have shared because self-actualization is understanding. It's basically emotional maturity, if you want to put it like that. It's
Mhm.
just understanding your flaws and your strengths, and accepting it, and
Mhm.
then you move forward in the world without ridicule. I think and the best part about that is you remove the ego. When once
Mhm.
you start actualize, your ego is actually not even in driving you anymore. It's just you're basically just
And I think
human.
this is, I think this is a problem that people face as well. Just on my end to end off is people do not use the mind for what it's meant to be used for.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
mind, people
Um,
should treat the mind like a tool that is to be used, and when not needed, not used. And a lot of people move through the world thinking all the time about everything, and that causes them a lot of friction. So if they take the world at face value for what it is, not for what they want it to be, they can obviously move in the world to make a better future for what they want to be, for what want it to be, but also understand that the world is the world. Nature is nature, and regardless of how we try and manipulate it, nature always wins, baby.
All right, thank you so much for talking with me, man. I personally don't think. I mean, but nature always do win because
Always do win.
we
It
are
does.
living, we are living. But I do think that I believe that the world was created for us, and I think that we are supposed to work side by side with nature, not necessarily try and box it
hundred
and
percent.
try and fight it.
Hundred
So
percent.
so when you say nature does win, it gives the idea of you're competing, which I don't think at all we should even try and do. I think we should work side by side with it, not in a climate change sort of way. I'm not gonna that this is why I don't want to get into
Wait,
politics
what?
because it goes so but anyway, thank you so much. I thank you so much, man. Thank you
That's
so much for
jokes.
joining me. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for
I know,
all
brilliant.
anyone that thank you so much for Daisy and H2K that joined us earlier, and anyone that might be watching. We'll be doing more discussions and streams where I'll bring on guests as well to discuss movies as well as legal cases and social commentary. So do watch out for your stream. I'll let you know there will be a different format really. So
Hmm.
you so but I want to build a channel so that it's you choose your program. What you want to watch. I give you 3 programs to watch. You choose it. You know what I mean? You choose it. You know what I mean?
Olay.
Anyway, but thank you. I'm just gonna end it now. Have a good evening and take care. Bye bye. Oh,
All right, that was good.
yeah, it was good.
Trying to keep it PC.
Yeah, flip and neck. But yeah, I need to promote it more because I actually do know how to promote streams.
Yeah.
But it's because I haven't. It's just lack of preparation, really.
Oh yeah, no, no, I know. Yeah.
Preparation on my end, but I will improve it. But at least I got the sound working this time.
No, that's
Because
good.
last time it was a mistake. Oh my gosh, last time you would not believe it.
Yeah, but this is good.
Last
Like
time,
when you
so
do you
bad.
ever do shorts?
Huh?
Like you can start clip up your videos into shorts. If you're not posting anything, just clip up an old video into a short, then post that instead. Because
Oh,
shorts
okay.
get loads of traction. Apparently, I'm gonna start trying doing that as well with my videos.
Yeah, yeah.
Make them
I'm
shorts.
gonna do. Yeah, I should actually do shorts where I would promote and say, join me live. I'll be doing this, etc. Because the option is there, create it in shorts. The option is there. I'll just create it and then just look at me and then be like, yeah, join me live. I'll be joining. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Okay, but yeah. Uh, I think